On this episode, Brett and Dude plow through as much of the Heaven Hill products as we can in just over an hour. 2 guys, 10 bourbons. See what the fellas think on this episode of the Bourbon Hunters. But before we get started, let me tell you about Greenline Goods. This 4-year-old company is based in Chicago and creates high-quality etched and printed glassware. Check them out with the link in our Instagram bio and save 15% off using the discount code Bourbon Hunters. You can also check them out at greenlinegoods.com. Thank you for taking time out of your day to join us on our hunt for great bourbon. Reward yourself and sit back, grab a pour, kick up your feet, and enjoy. Welcome to another episode of the Bourbon Hunters. I'm Dude Poor. I'm joined by
Brett Bryan.
And we've also got... Oh, no, Tyler's not here.
Shocker there.
Yeah, big shocker.
Back to the status quo.
Back
no
to
Tyler.
The status quo. All right, so we decided to do a... You'll see the picture if you check online, but we've got a pretty decent lineup here today. This is kind of a follow-up to our Buffalo Trace flagship, if you will, or lineup that we did. This is an Heaven Hill or Evan Williams lineup. So
a lot of great things coming out of Heaven Hill Distillery.
You know what's funny is you don't even think about all the stuff, just all the stuff that is available from one distillery, like Buffalo Trace. You know, when we did that, and you had your Buffalo Trace, you have your Benchmark, you have your E.H. Taylor, you have your Eagle Rare. You know, all of that stuff, Blanton's. But I mean, honestly, there's just so much that's coming out of there.
Agree.
And then you come to a place like Heaven Hill, and you've got, you've got your Evan Williams, your Larceny, your Elijah Craig, your Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond, your Evan Williams 12, your Evan Williams Bottled and Bond. You've got your Five Brothers, your, Heaven
Old
Hill
Fitz
6 year.
comes out of there.
Old Fitz.
Henry McKenna comes out of there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shit that comes out of Heaven Hill.
I didn't bring out a Henry McKenna, did I?
No, we have a Henry McKenna back here.
Oh, is it hidden?
Yeah.
Oh, it's hiding.
That's one of my favorites. I recognize that. It has that old-timey look, like on the label. It looks like almost like a like pre-prohibition type thing.
Then you got Evan Williams Single Barrel Vintage. I mean, then there's the barrel proofs of Elijah Craig and Larceny. You've got the Heritage, the Parker Heritage. Those are there as well. You've got the Mellow Corn, the Rittenhouse. You've got just so many.
Just a lot of shit coming out of there, for sure.
There's a ton of stuff all coming from Heaven Hill. So we're going to do our best to plow through a little bit of this tonight, talk about them, give a little bit of history, I think, where it makes sense, and then, just enjoy and drink and have some good bourbons. So what do you want to start with, you think? You think Elijah Craig or Larceny?
Yeah, one of those two. Larceny's like a good kept secret for me, right? When I was
I've even got the Elijah Craig 18 we could do.
That's true. Yeah.
There's an Elijah Craig Rye.
I've never had the Elijah Craig Rye.
I've never had the Rye.
I have the Elijah Craig Rye. I didn't think about it.
Have you opened it?
Yeah, it does not drink like a rye at all. It's weird.
Yeah. It's probably only 51% corn or something, or rye or something.
Yeah, I don't remember, but I remember trying it, and I'm like, this does not drink like a rye.
You've got a Pikesville Rye that's available. I said the Rittenhouse.
Good old Pikesville.
Bernheim. That's a wheated whiskey. I forgot about that one. And then the Heaven Hill, the Heritage Collection, like I mentioned. There's a few different versions of that. You've got the Heavy Char Wheat. You've got the 17-year. There's a whole bunch of those that have come out. But
we might have to finish with the 18-year EC. That might be a good,
Yeah. I mean, and the 18-year is polarizing, in my opinion. A lot of people don't like it. I know Jason from the Mash and Drum's not a big fan of it.
Yeah.
Even though he said, he recognizes that for being an 18-year, it is a single barrel.
Which is impressive.
Yeah, and sometimes there's going to be some variance. 18 years in, there's going to be some variance between those.
So think about how many different weather patterns you could have in 18 years.
Well, yeah, but not only that, but evaporation because of those weather patterns, and you might get a really, really heavy oaky one, and then you might get a really, really not as oaky one just because maybe it wasn't as hot, or who knows. So, which glass am I using here?
I'll use this guy here.
All right, I'm just going right back into.
And so you're starting off with the Elijah Craig small batch.
Yep, just the regular small batch. We have the barrel proof. We're not going to do that today just because we've done some episodes of that already. This is, in my opinion, a very, very, very underrated pour.
I was going to say the same thing. This is one that I will lead people to when they're trying to get into things, and you can always find it on the shelf.
Well, here's the thing about it, in my opinion. Yeah, you're right. It's always available. But the thing to me is I honestly generally like Elijah Craig better than Buffalo Trace. And Buffalo Trace you can't find.
Right.
And Elijah Craig is always on the shelf. No matter where I've been, I've seen Elijah Craig on the shelf.
I have had some very good Elijah Craig single barrels.
The single barrels are good too. Yeah,
they're very good, and they're not barrel proofs. They're just
the regular. Yeah, I've got a few of those as well.
They're so good. I had one from Bourbon Enthusiast that I was like holding on. I might even have a little bit of it left.
I think I do too. And then I've got some OHLQ ones that are pretty good. Mm-hmm. I'm not a huge fan of the OHLQ picks, but there's a few things like their Maker's Mark and the Elijah Craigs that I've enjoyed.
Yeah, that one Wild Turkey, that Russell's Reserve OHLQ did not. That was our worst one, remember?
Yeah. I just think they have a different palate than what we like. That's all. Because I know a lot of people really, really like the OHLQ stuff. Now, the ones that Jason helped with, I didn't get to touch any of those. And I wonder how those turned out since he got to lend his palate.
Yeah.
And I generally like his palate. So Elijah Craig is it's basically their flagship. Yeah. So it's, it's giving credit to Reverend Elijah Craig, the bourbon pioneer, supposedly. He is credited in lore, and most people are saying this is not necessarily true, but he's credited as being the first distiller to age his whiskey in charred oak barrels. Now, that's the Evan Williams / Heaven Hill lore, if you will. I don't know how true that technically is, just because, a lot of the places you go to say that was already being done by distilleries in, Scotland and Europe, and that was a common practice by some people, just that's what they were saying. It's just, you hear the stories, and even if you watch Neat, there's some jokes about,
how it started
and stuff like that. But
that's a good documentary. I should rewatch.
Yeah, I love it. I usually watch it right before we go on our trip.
That's a good idea.
That's what I usually do.
That's a great idea.
And there's a few documentaries that are very informative, but not nearly as Hollywood produced as that one, that are really good too, that are on like iTunes and stuff like that.
That Bourbon Tucky was good. I really liked it.
Yeah, that was one of them. And when I was painting and doing some stuff over COVID, I got into the Prohibition series. Those were pretty good. There was a 3-part, I think it was on iTunes or, Apple TV or whatever. That was, almost like that. Did you ever see that baseball documentary
on
Ken Burns? It's inning 1, inning 2, inning 3, and then they added extra innings at the end after the Boston Red Sox won. So there's the Ken Burns style documentary where it's like when you don't have actual video footage, they would do pictures, but the picture is like it's like panned across. Yeah. That's called a Ken Burns style, Okay. There's a few documentaries that are similar to that, and I think that's a pretty common go-to style when you have old stuff without the actual video to go with it, and just maybe newspaper clippings, old pictures, stuff like that.
Yeah, I know what you mean by that, like slow.
Yeah, and then they cut to people talking and stuff like that, and that's kind of how that Prohibition one was, and it was really, really good, even though you didn't have a lot of video, so that was kind of cool. Let's nose into this and take a drink of it.
Very classic, like brown sugar caramel for me.
Yeah, I feel like I get that from Elijah Craig, all the time, and that's probably why I like it so much, because that is a pretty standout note for me with Elijah Craig. And then diving in, I definitely get that same thing.
Agree.
Yeah, this is, there's something about this one today, and maybe it's just my palate today, but I get almost like a little bit of a dusty funk today, which is not an off-putting thing. I welcome that a lot of times. Makes it taste a little older than it might really be, Well,
these are like 7 or 8 years old, I think.
Yeah, I think.
If I remember
correctly,
their
barrel proofs are 12 years old. These might even be 12 years old. It might say on the side.
That's what I was looking for. Like, it's a very underrated, for the price of it and the age on it, it's very underrated.
Yeah, it says 8 to 12 years old.
Yeah.
8 to 12 years old.
For a freaking, what is this? This is less than 30, isn't it?
I think it's like 23 to $26.
I was thinking like 25, something like that. Yeah. To think that you can get, at minimum an 8-year-old bourbon for $25 that tastes, as readily available.
Yeah. And it's a small batch, which means, they are blending or mingling or whatever you want to call it, barrels together to achieve a consistent palate or profile from bottle to bottle. And I feel like they do a pretty damn good job. And Buffalo Trace does a good job with that too. Like I feel like every time I have a bottle of Buffalo Trace, I'm getting the same flavor.
Well, those are 4 to 5 years old? And this is it older than that? About 4 years old?
It's around 6, I believe.
Okay.
It could be 6. I think it might be 6 to 8. And then you've got your Eagle Rare that's up to 10 or more.
Yeah. Just the age on this. You know what I'm saying? Like, kind of like you said, everyone goes crazy over Buffalo Trace, like just flagship Buffalo Trace.
That's what I mean. And not that Buffalo Trace isn't good, because it is. But
there's things equally or better out there that are readily available.
I think that for me, you get the ability to walk into a liquor store and know that you're going to be able to find Elijah Craig and walk away with a great bourbon and have no issue with showing up somewhere. If you're going to a place where people don't know bourbon, then you're not wasting your money buying an expensive bottle for people who don't know or appreciate what they're drinking. And then if you're going to a place where you have, bourbon heads or flippers or taters or even, just people that are really big bourbon enthusiasts, they're going to appreciate an Elijah Craig bottle too.
Agree.
You're never going to go wrong showing up anywhere with Elijah Craig. Because like I said, if they don't appreciate bourbon, then mix it with Coke. And it's $25, $26. Right. So what? Ice it down or whatever you want to do, however you drink it. So I think, like I said, and I just had it, and I haven't had a standard Elijah Craig in months probably.
Same.
So revisiting it now because most of the time, when you drink at home, what are you drinking right now? Not necessarily brand, but barrel proofs for the most part.
Yeah, I drink a lot of barrel proofs. It's funny. The other night, I actually pulled out my Henry McKenna.
Yeah. After we had it.
So I was drinking on that, and then I had a couple anchors that I've been pulling off too. So like
I've been
right now.
You've seen all the ones I've been killing lately. Yeah.
It's not my normal drinking style. Just again trying to chip away at some things.
Right before our trip, I did the same thing. So I was sending it in our little text group or whatever, but I think I killed like 7 bottles over the span of like 2.5, 3 weeks, because I had just a whole bunch of bottles that were just sitting around with anchors in them, and I'm like, why am I holding on to these? They're good, but a lot of everything I have is good. It's just kind of why I don't need to hold on to it. To me, more than anything, the bottles generally mean a memory more than a flavor.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, oh, yeah, I got this here. Oh, yeah, that's right. When we drank out of that, it was, something or other. But, like, I don't know. For me, that's generally why I will hold on to a bottle more than anything else. Like those very fine rares, I don't drink from those very often, even though I enjoy them, just because it reminded me of that freaking scramble we went through the bourbon trip a couple years ago.
Well, that's my infinity bottle too. Is the very fine rare.
You use that bottle?
Yeah, because I'm like, we killed this. It's just kind of a cool little,
Yeah, and that was our first Bardstown bottle kill. Was one of those. Yeah, so that was a
good time.
Yeah. What do you want to do? You want to jump over to Larceny and go weeded real quick?
I was going to say that just because they're kind of on the same level. I know we're switching to weeded, but they're also kind of
going
the
94
same,
to 92 proof. They're right around
base.
that same ballpark, so that makes sense. So Larceny is a little bit different. You've got with Elijah Craig, you're drinking a corn. Sorry, they're all bourbon, so they're all corn based. But Elijah Craig is a rye. Bourbon, and then Larceny is a weeded
Use this one.
bourbon.
Sorry. I haven't rinsed that one yet, but I have rinsed this one.
So Larceny is a weeded bourbon, and which means the secondary grain is wheat. So for all bourbons, that means they have to be 51% corn or more, 51% or more, I should say corn, to be a bourbon. So when you hear people talk about a rye-based bourbon or a wheat-based bourbon, they're talking about what that secondary grain is.
And a lot of times, again, I know I keep saying, like, because I get a lot of questions about bourbon. I'll kind of push them towards weeded sometimes in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because they're a little, I hate to use the word smooth. They're just not as harsh.
Yeah. They're a little
easier,
less
on the
offensive.
palate,
Yeah.
yes.
They are a little more, I don't know if sweet's the right word, but now the problem with weeded whiskeys and weeded bourbons is they take a little longer to mature. Mm-hmm. But, they do have that, I guess, softer edges, if you will. They're not as rough around the edges.
And again, larceny. So one of our absolute favorite drinks, right? The Bourbon Bacon Beautiful is made with larceny.
Yeah. So the larceny bourbon, which I really enjoy. Now the barrel proofs of the larceny can be very, 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 very much hit or miss.
Yeah, remember that episode we did, like the differences in all of them?
It's crazy. But larceny is it goes back to the history of John E. Fitzgerald and the old Fitzgerald brand. So they select a limited number of barrels from specific floor locations in the rick house for the larceny 6-year-old taste profile. So, with the tradition of old Fitzgerald using wheat in place of rye as the secondary grain in the mash bill, so it uses more wheat than any of its competitors for a softer, rounder character, is what they say. So the whole story behind larceny, and what's neat from me is so like, and I don't know how true the story is about the larceny and the reason it was called larceny and all that is they've got the key on the front. So if you look at the bottle, there's a keyhole on the front and there's a key on the back. So if you hold it up and look at it through the glass, you see the key.
And there's little keys kind of hidden throughout, right? There's like a couple little keys up here at the top of the bottle and the band of the neck. Yeah. There's some keys.
But one of the things I really, really like, and I never knew this at first, is when you hold the bottle and look through it, and you look through the keyhole, there's a key on the other side of the bottle. Which
I
is
didn't
really
know that
neat.
until you pointed it out, honestly.
Oh, you didn't?
Like not today, but like
before.
Yeah, before.
I think I learned it from when we did the bottle your own or do
the You Do Bourbon.
You Do Bourbon experience, when you got to bottle your own and do your own label, and we got to watch Tyler fumble around and act like an idiot and not know what he was doing.
I was waiting for Banks to step on the power strip and turn off the power. Yeah. He didn't.
No, he didn't. He's being awfully active today.
Yeah.
And very inquisitive. I'm not sure what's going on. But so anyway, the larceny is there's a story supposedly how a guy who was one of the Bond guardsmen or whatever you want to call it, bottled and bond guardsmen or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Somehow he would use his keys to go in and basically thieve from the different barrels, and there was some larceny aspect to it, or I don't know exactly the full story behind it, but it was something to that effect, and that's how they named it. So
this is really good. I took a dive while you were talking.
Oh, did you?
Sorry.
All right, that's fine. What do you get on the nose?
The nose was similar
to the
Elijah Craig. Yeah, sorry, it was similar to that, but the palate, it definitely, it's easier on the palate. I don't know how else to describe it than that. I hate using that word smooth, but it's just, it has a longer finish for me too than the Elijah Craig did. I don't know, and this just could be today, right? I don't know. I had some soup for dinner. Maybe that's what's getting to me, but I like this a lot.
What kind of soup did you have?
Potato soup. Like a potato chowder.
German potato soup?
It's more of like a potato chowder.
Oh. God, yeah, this is good. Damn.
Isn't this really good? This is just like hitting the spot for me right now.
It is. I haven't had a larceny regular barrel or regular shelfer in a long time.
Same. It's one that I need to have in my collection more often, but it's like you walk past it on the shelf and you're like, "Oh, I'll get one of those next time." Like I don't need that. I can always get it. And I guarantee it's the same thing if it was one of those ones where it was harder to find. Then we'd all be after it. Like, oh man, we got to get one of those larcenies. I love their barrel proof, the larceny barrel proof.
Well, to me, they're hit and miss. Some of the larceny barrel proofs are terrible.
But they're single barrels.
Terrible's not. No, they're not. They're not.
Oh, they're not. They're blended.
They're batch. They're just like the Elijah Craig.
Some of them are more harsh.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And they're just inconsistent. Whereas the Elijah Craig barrel proofs are a lot more consistent, but they are different from batch to batch. The larcenies are just sometimes they're just inconsistent and they're just not as good. Yeah, that's all.
This has hit me in the back of the tongue in all the right spots.
Yeah,
this is fantastic. This is like I could sip on this, watching a game, just a long, drinking this all night.
Damn, this is good. I always forget how much I enjoy larceny.
Same.
And it's funny because I drink Maker's Mark. In fact, this last weekend I was at the bar. I was drinking Maker's Mark. The barn actually, right by over by Tuttle.
Oh yeah.
They're so cheap. So cheap.
I don't know if I've been there. I know I've heard you talk about it.
They always have live music there on one or two nights a weekend. And, you go there, and even if you don't feel like dancing, they had a band there called Radio Tramps this last weekend.
It's a good name.
And they were playing some decent music, and you go there, and so we had gone to Penn's, and I got an old fashioned
drink.
Yeah, I got an old fashioned, and Trina got a Tito's on the rocks, and it was like $28.
Shocker.
No,
even their beer.
This is a shocker. No. And then we had just come from dinner where her drink was $13, mine was $14, so $27. So right there, we're already $50 some dollars,
50, yeah.
Into the night on just a drink each, or two drinks each, I should say. And then we go to the barn, and I get a Maker's Neat, she gets a Tito's on the rocks. First off, they give her a freaking hell of a pour. Like, I was like, damn.
As they should.
Pour.
Tito's is cheap.
Yeah, and my pour was pretty decent too. I got mine neat, so you can see technically how much it really is.
Yeah.
Hers, they could hide it with rocks, but
right.
but the bill was $13.
As it should be. Like, I know for cocktails are very like trendy right now too. Like, I know cocktails have always been, but
they are, but still, like, generally,
some of the prices on these.
The cocktails, they hide their. They usually, unless it's some sort of signature cocktail, they usually hide their well bourbons and their well, alcohols into the drinks. Like, they just used standard Evan Williams in my drink. It was the standard Black Label Evan Williams,
and they charged you $16 or $14 or whatever.
Yeah, it was like $15, I think, for my drink, and it was just a. Yeah, and they didn't garnish it. I got no orange. I did get a cherry in the bottom of it. But we went to Penn's Mechanical and played pinball. We hadn't played pinball in forever.
Yeah, pinball's fun.
Yeah, and we were going to do the pins, like do the little duck bowling.
The wait's crazy anymore.
But it was an hour and a half wait.
Yeah,
and we didn't plan on staying there that long. So we just took some dollar bills over and started playing pinball. And we played not Simpsons. We played Stranger Things.
Oh, that's fun.
Pinball. We did one Jurassic Park. We did a Star Wars, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's what it was.
Oh, that's a good one too.
We did a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That was fun. But we played, and that had a little pizza that would spin around on the thing and change the direction of your ball a little bit.
There's always a nostalgia with pinball for me.
Oh,
I go to the ones. They had one that you probably remember this. Remember, like, No Fear, the clothing line? Mm-hmm. They had an old, like, 90s No Fear pinball machine, and I was like, that is so cool. I was obsessed with, like, No Fear sports gear and all that shit. And I played that one.
Well, it was just neat. Like, they were all newer age electronic type pinball machines, not just analog, pins and bumpers. So they had a Death Star in the Star Wars one. They had the Demogorgon in the Stranger Things one.
Yeah.
They had the van and a spinning pizza, and a whole bunch of things in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and they had a T-Rex in the Jurassic Park one. I mean, it was neat.
Yeah.
They had some really cool things. It did make me remember I'm not good at pinball.
My uncle, growing up, he had a pinball machine in his basement. We would spend hours on that thing. Obviously, he had it on like free play.
Yeah,
and it was probably the best like babysitter ever. Like, put the kids in the basement, they'll play pinball forever.
Well, we were walking out of Penn's through 16-bit, and I didn't realize all the games there were free.
Yeah, and 16-bit they are. Some of those games are pretty bad, like pretty rough. You know what I mean?
Donkey Kong, I went over, I was like, oh, Donkey Kong. And then, but we were on our way out, and I was like, damn it, I love Donkey Kong.
And then they have some cool kind of setup against the wall, too. It'll be like a Sega or Nintendo. They're emulators. They're not like the original ones. And they'll have like 100 games built in. So
like
you can
the main
play
machines?
Yeah, you can play all kinds of stuff. I
want to build one of those at some point.
I have my home theater PC. I have it built into it.
No, I want to build a MAME machine.
Gotcha.
So it's like, it looks like an arcade machine.
Like a console,
but it's all built up and around your little... so it's got the console with the joystick and everything, and buttons built in. And build it out for like a game that requires 4 to 6 buttons or something. And then you can play whatever. I want to build one of those at some point.
That'd be fun, yeah.
Yeah. It'd be a neat little addition down here somewhere. I don't know where I'd put it, but somewhere down here.
Start knocking out walls.
To be honest, I want to redo this whole basement. Not that room.
Right, understandable.
So what I want to do is I want to make this room my podcast room. Mm-hmm. Like, maybe. I'm not even sure about that, actually. But I want to leave that where it is. I was thinking about building my office and the podcast area into the same space. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we could sit around it and have a table and whatever and have TVs around it and stuff so you could watch, but have it be multifunctional somehow.
Yeah, and sometimes you could even have it so like the podcast goes right to like your hard drive and you don't have to like transfer things, and you could do it a couple different ways.
I mean, you can do that if I need it. I don't know that I need to, but yeah, that would be nice too.
And you always have that for like portable stuff, right? When you go places.
Right. So larceny.
I like the larceny better than the Elijah Craig tonight. That may not be every night, but tonight.
I mean, that's not it's not a knock on Elijah Craig at all.
Nope, tonight, that's just what I'm feeling, man.
Yeah, I like Elijah Craig still like it. But yeah, I agree with you. Right now, that larceny just hit perfectly.
Just hit the spot.
Yeah,
yep, agree.
Which is disheartening because I think it's the only weeder we have here. The rest are going to be rye-based bourbons. So, have I even opened that 1783? If not, open it up. Let's dive into it.
Yes, I was going to say that the volume looks low, but the label didn't. But yes,
that's why I wasn't sure. I couldn't tell. So we're going to jump now brands. It's still the same distillery, but brands over to Evan Williams. So Evan Williams small batch, 1783, another shelfer. Mm-hmm. This is one that's, again, all of these, with the exception of the Evan Williams single barrel vintage, and a couple of the other ones, I guess, the Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond, the Green Label Evan Williams 6 year. Those are tough to find. But I think for the most part, all of these are easy to find unless they're like a distillery exclusive like the Five Brothers and stuff like that.
I feel like Henry McKenna is getting harder to find.
Henry McKenna it's become a little more allocated.
It's on my list.
It sells out the day of usually.
Yeah, it's on my list of things to try and find.
If you don't find it at the distillery, we're not finding it. I mean, generally speaking.
Yeah.
And if you do, it's going to be in Kentucky. It'll be more expensive. Yeah. 1783 is basically the year that Evan Williams founded Kentucky's first distillery.
Okay.
So it's pulled from less than 300 barrels, so it truly is a small batch.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Extra aged small batch bourbon, and like in 2019, for example, they won the Consumer's Sip Award. And it's 6 to 8 years old. It's 90 proof. I generally, and I haven't tasted this or smelled this yet, but I usually get a lot of, you may like it because you get like the sauteed kind of butter on the nose.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Like when you take butter, when I'm making like the roux for a mac and cheese, that's kind of the smell I get. You know, like a little flour, some butter, you cook it down a little bit.
I agree. It's like like you said, it's not just like it's not a buttery toffee like dessert type thing. It's more of a like a sauteed butter. You're cooking, butter in a pan.
Yeah, and I get it like in the back of it, like bringing up the rear is a little bit of corn.
I should probably rinse my palate real quick and take a sip of water.
Get a little bit of honey on the palate.
Oh, really? It's funny, Evan Williams. So when I was in college, there were a few like bourbons that I would drink, and again, poor college kid, I'm buying the cheap stuff. It was just regular Evan Williams. You know what I mean? Like Black Label Evan Williams. That was one I would buy all the time.
Yeah, I
liked it. And Ezra Brooks, which is a different Ezra Brooks now that Lux Rowe purchased.
Well, I think they still have the Ezra Brooks bottom of the barrel.
Yeah,
available.
It was just regular old Ezra Brooks and Evan Williams. Those were the two I would always buy. And a lot of times I would lean toward Ezra Brooks just because it had a cork and the Evan Williams had a twist off. And I thought a cork was like the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
But I think that bottle was like $13. And like the Evan Williams was less than 20. It might have been 15 or 16.
I get a little bit of honey on this.
I do too. It falls a little flat for me. I wish it...
Yeah, it's not super complex.
I wish
it hits your tongue and then kind of dies off.
It dies off quickly.
I agree.
I wish that it lasts... It's a great flavor. It drops off very quick. I wish it lasted a little bit longer.
But the flavors that are there are good when they're there.
Yeah, agree.
But you're right. It does die off kind of quickly.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Like the Larceny, it lingered longer, right? It coated my tongue better and it stayed on my palate longer. Where this,
agreed.
It just, it's there and gone. I guess you just have to drink more, right?
I will say that we are doing a lot of lower proof stuff right now, so that could be part of the reason we feel like it's dying off quickly. But I think that flavor-wise, there's just not...
It's 86 proof.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a sour mash, too.
That's not a 90 proof?
It says 86 on it.
Oh, wow, because the current Evan Williams 1783 is a 90 proof.
Yeah, this is...
That's funny. So this is an older...
This must be an older one for sure.
I've had it for a while, so that makes sense. That's interesting that it is a lower proof. I say we attack the Five Brothers next.
Yeah.
Which is it was a distillery exclusive. I don't know. I think it's just a Kentucky exclusive now.
I feel like I was really excited to get this, and then I never heard anything about it.
Well, I think most people have said it's a little disappointing compared, for the build-up that it was.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I understand, and I'm spitballing right now, I'm not looking at it in front of me, but because there were Five Brothers, I think they pick 5 different ages of bourbons to add in together to mingle.
Yeah, and it's a pretty wide variety. I don't know if the story is on the back of this.
Let me see what if I can find Five Brothers info on here. Let me
it says this is an artful blend of 5 different ages, ranging from 5 to 9 years.
Oh well, we could have done one of the. We could have done the Grenade. Forgot about that.
Oh yeah, man, those are harsh. The
Some
one I
of them,
had,
they're single barrels, so
That's true.
they vary, but they are harsh. You're right, because they're a little younger.
the one that I have is harsh, I should say, and
Yeah.
I only have one. And for the price, you know what I mean? They're really small.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know if I'll get another one.
So this is a 90 proof bourbon. This is the Five Brothers bourbon. It's exclusive, from what I understand, to the Kentucky. And you can generally get it at the beginning of the day at the distillery, and then it sells out. It's 5 to 9 years old. It's 90 proof. And their story is basically, it's a callback to the beginnings of Heaven Hill's award-winning portfolio and pays homage to the 5 founding brothers. Featuring their traditional bourbon mash bill, it is bottled at 90 proof and aged from 5 to 9 years to represent each founding brother. So there's a 5-year, a 6-year, a 7-year, an 8-year, and a 9-year. That's 5.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking there.
The most striking detail of the premium bottle is the face label feature of a black and white photo of the 5 Shapiro brothers when they were in their 20s and early 30s. David, Ed, Gary, George, and Mose. And the rest of it's just marketing BS. But, it does have the tax strip and all that stuff. It is a nice-looking bottle. I do like how
Agreed.
the front of the bottle is, flat.
Yes, and the rest of it's
rounded. That's
yeah.
kind of neat. It's almost reminiscent of the... what's the green, the new one that's, shit. Son of a bitch.
It's a cool
Green
bottle,
River.
though.
I think
agree.
Green River is the name of it, I believe. Green River has a similar type of bottle.
It has a picture of all the brothers on the front, too. And I don't know if this is actually their signatures from back in the day. Because they all look pretty similar, so I doubt it.
It says this release is unique to Heaven Hill Bourbon Experience and select Kentucky retailers. So it's a limited Kentucky retailer availability, but it is available at the Heaven Hill Bourbon Experience in Bardstown. That's where I bought mine. What do you get? What do you get on the nose?
I would have to smell it. Hold on.
Yeah, that usually helps. Ooh, I do get a nuttiness. A little bit of brown sugar.
Yeah,
It's not super...
It's not overwhelming.
Yeah, there's not a lot of nose to it, but what I do get... There's a little bit of nut, a little bit of brown sugar. That's all I'm getting. I'm not getting anything else. I'm not getting much of...
Same. I'm not getting a lot on this.
Trying both nostrils just to see, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I'm getting. Let's hope the taste on this is a little more exciting than when I first had it.
I feel like I remember being a little oaky, which surprised me because of the age. I
the
figured
age.
it would be, only 9 year being the oldest.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, see, it's oaky.
So
It's tobacco, like sweet oak.
yeah. What's interesting to me about this one, and follow along with me on this and see if you agree.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get much on the front.
Yeah.
But then as it travels the tongue, it blooms up a little bit. I get oak, tobacco. It becomes a little more complex as it goes, but it's flat on the front. It's the opposite of what did we have that was...
The 1783.
Yeah, so it's the opposite of the 1783. Whereas that hit the front of my tongue and was like, ooh, yeah, this is nice, and then it just disappeared. This one blooms as it goes across the tongue. Starts from nothing to me. I don't
Yeah.
get much on the front at all, but as it goes back, I get the. It's almost like a warmth and like spicy, oaky tobacco.
I get a lot of sweet tobacco for me on this.
Yeah.
And the sweet tobacco's all on the back of my tongue. It's better than I remember. I will tell you that. For some reason...
I'm thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's because of the finish, and it might be just because we just had it after the Evan Williams 1783.
Very possible.
But I remember the first time I had this, I think I've only had this once. You see how much is left out of my bottle.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really enjoying this a lot more than the first time I ever had it. I'm pleasantly surprised. I was expecting not much. So
I agree. It's better than I remember, for sure.
I get a little bit of butterscotch on the finish. On that last drink, it almost, the tobacco kind of became butterscotch to me.
Okay.
All right.
Yes, for me, it's still a lot of just like oak tobacco, which I like.
Yeah, no, what I'm getting in this flavor profile is nothing about it am I disliking. I'm actually, like I said, I'm pleasantly surprised in the sense that I don't remember enjoying this like I'm enjoying it right now.
So speaking of the You Do Bourbon experience, is it 4 that you get to try and then you pick from there?
Well,
or
originally there was 4.
Okay.
There was Bernheim Barrel Proof. There was Larceny Barrel Proof. There was Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. And then they had a 4th one, which was just called Heaven Hill.
Okay.
I have heard, and when I went back there, so I've been there twice now.
Mm-hmm.
I went with our trip that you didn't get to go on.
Yeah.
And then I went back with Jason from the Mash and Drum.
Yeah.
We went and did Lux Row, and then we went and did You Do Bourbon after that was over. And that time they didn't have the Heaven Hill.
So they
Only had the 3. And we were a little upset.
Disappointed.
Yeah, well, just because the price didn't change.
Right.
So if the price didn't, like...
Because you still pay for the bottle, too, in addition to the experience.
Yeah, and I'll get into that. But like, what was upsetting is you only got 3 tastes, and they didn't change the price.
Agree.
We're doing it again in December.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it mainly because even if there's only 3, generally you're going to get 1 out of the 3 that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Both times I've done it, the Bernheim wasn't that good. It tasted like wet leaves.
Ugh.
And then, but what's funny is the regular Bernheim that's not barrel proof, and that's why it's kind of a big draw, is it's the only barrel proof Bernheim. You can't,
Oh, that's a good point. You can't get it anywhere else like that.
supposedly they're productizing it sometime this year if they haven't already. But the Bernheim, I don't know. The regular weeded whiskey is really good, but the barrel proof version of it was just not good at all. Like all the tasting notes and stuff like that they put on the board there, I didn't taste any of it. Like maybe toast. I think they had toast as one of them, and I was like, yeah, toast followed by burnt leaves or wet leaves. Now, so I will say the first time I went there, my total expectation was to get a Larceny Barrel Proof. Tasted terrible.
Wow.
The Bernheim tasted terrible. So it was between the Elijah Craig and the Heaven Hill. Heaven Hill won out on that for me that day. But I ended up talking them into letting me buy 2.
That's nice.
Doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
I gave him a sob story about you, actually. And your dog. And all that.
Yeah. Oh, don't remind me.
So, because we had already paid for it.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
he was like, well, you guys already paid. May as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he let me do a second one. So I got an Elijah Craig and I got the Heaven Hill.
Okay.
And then the second time I went back, the Larceny was actually really good. That batch was actually really good. And they're not single barrels. They're batched barrel proofs.
Would they let you blend or no?
No, you can't.
Out of the question.
No. Well, I didn't ask.
Okay.
But it's not part of the description. So the way it works is you go in, you taste the 4 or 3 or whatever they have available. You decide which one you like, and then you go in and you bottle it. If you want to bottle it.
Right.
But like you said, you have to pay for that. So you may just do the tasting experience and not bottle.
And be like, I don't want to.
But
anything.
they don't mark it up, so it's just the cost of whatever a regular Larceny Barrel Proof or Elijah Craig Barrel Proof would be. Maybe $5 more. Maybe, I don't know, but it's reasonable, you know.
Which those are hard to find. So
Right. That was my thinking as well.
and it's nice you get to taste before you purchase. Like I hate when you
Exactly.
you
that,
know
that was the other part that I was a big fan of. The way they did it was pretty good, and it was done. It was well done. You walk in, they have it all set out in front of you. You've got 4 glasses in front of you already pre-filled from those batches. You get like all the tasting notes are given to you if you want them. You have a tasting. They give you a notebook and a pen that you get to keep, and you can take down your own notes. And then if you decide to buy a bottle, you go into the next room. And the way it works is you pull the lever, it fills it up, and then you put the bottle underneath it, and then you release the lever, and it pours it into the bottle. So I don't think you could blend. I don't think they would let you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say they won't let you, but I can't imagine how it would work.
Yeah. Well, and it would be hard. You couldn't be like, hey,
To
can I get
guess.
another little sample?
Yeah.
Right, to blend these? Yeah.
Well, to guess the amount to let into the thing before you fill it into the bottle, I don't know how they would allow you to, or you'd have to be a damn wizard, is all I'm saying, to get it right. I say we do. What do you want to do next? I'd say we do the McKenna again.
So I was kind of thinking, and I'm not sure how much more we're doing, right?
I mean, we're just doing little sips, so we could
Yeah.
do as many as we want, and it's all low proof. So,
But I was thinking if we want to start doing like age things, right? Like McKenna's
12 year?
10, then
Yeah.
the 12, then
Yeah.
you could do the 18.
yeah, let's do that.
You
Let's
know
do
what
the
I mean?
McKenna. Let's do the McKenna. And then that Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond that's a good one. So is the Evan Williams Bottled and Bond, but
Do you want to do one of those before we start doing older stuff?
yeah, let's do the Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond.
Okay.
Let's do a little Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond and Evan Williams Bottled and Bond little taste off. Just little taste
Okay.
off. Here, I've got some clean glasses.
Yeah,
over
I do
here, so
too,
let me
here.
rotate. And let's pour those both at the same time.
I'm cool with that.
And then that way we can kind of
These are some smaller pours, sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with that. We're doing a lot. We've got 10 bottles on the table right now.
I know the pressure's on. Don't fuck these up.
No, you're fine, man.
All right. So,
To be honest, I've taken
so we're going to go Heaven
what do you
Hill.
call it? Like some introspection, is that right? Like looking
Oh, yeah.
on my own bourbon collection, and I'm just like, what the fuck am I doing? I've got so many bottles. I'm not getting through all this on my own. I've got to have some ragers. Like I've got to host some ragers to get through my
yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's almost like I feel there's like a sense of selfishness that I feel like that I've got all this bourbon. And now I will say 90% of my bottles are open.
Right.
It's not like I'm hoarding them and not drinking them. I'm drinking them, but fuck.
I know what you mean. I've made a point to kind of dwindle my collection. So the Evan Williams is on the right, the Heaven
that's what I
Hill is on
thought.
the left.
Okay.
I've made a point to try and dwindle my
I'm trying
collection
as
into
well.
things that I really enjoy. In the beginning, some of it was just like the thrill of trying to find certain things.
Yeah, and I'm still there.
yes.
I'm still there.
But some of it, I kind of know my taste profile better.
Me too.
And it's like,
But we're still getting stuff sent to us from distilleries. Like we got
Yeah.
that Filmland Spirits stuff that came today.
it's a cool bottle.
That's
Very
a really cool bottle. I'm actually pleasantly surprised at how nice the bottle looks. I
Yeah.
thought it was going to look kind of cheap and whatever. So I'm actually excited to have. So January 9th, we're having them on the show. That'll probably publish that week, depending on, because that'll be probably our first one back from the new season.
Yeah.
That'll be our first one after probably the 2 Bardstown Bottle Kill episodes that we do. So that'll probably be our first ones of season 4.
That'll be good. That'll be a good way to start it off.
Yeah, I almost wanted to do it as a primer tonight just to get it open and let. But
Yeah,
I might
we can always do that some other time.
Yeah, another time. Yeah, we got a month, or 2 months. Shit, 3 months almost. 2.5.
Yeah, it's just October,
Yeah.
mid-October. Yeah.
All right. So we've got Evan Williams on the right. Let's start with that one.
Okay.
That's the cheaper of the two.
Now, if I remember, I have to dig deep in the archive. We did this in the budget bottled and bond
We
episode.
did, and it did okay.
And
yeah,
it finished like second place, maybe.
it might have been
It was pretty high
Yeah.
that it finished.
the one that you thought everything was early times.
That's correct. Yeah.
So this is the Evan Williams is the second largest Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey that's sold. This is the
Period.
not
Or-
this one.
Okay.
Evan Williams,
But you mean,
the regular black labeled Evan Williams. This is the 100 proof version of that.
gotcha.
It's aged for at least 4 years, so we know it's 4 years old. They say it's 4 years old. They don't say 4+. So I'm assuming at 4 years they say, okay, let's bottle it up. But so if you don't know what bottled and bond is, it means it has to be 4 years old at least. It can be over 4 years old, but it has. You'll see that with Henry McKenna because that's also bottled and bond, but it's 10 years. It has to be at least 4 years old, and it has to be 100 proof exactly. Right. It can't be over 100 proof, can't be under 100 proof, anything. And this started back in 1897. You'll actually see there's an Old Forester bottled and bond 1897 in their Whiskey Row series, and that's bottled and bond. But it's at 1897. E.H. Taylor was a big proponent of the bottled and bond act.
Colonel E.H. Taylor.
Yes, he is now a colonel. I don't think he was a colonel at the time. I think he was only a sergeant. So at the time, he pushed through the Bottle and Bond Act. It was part of that consumer protection type stuff, making sure that you knew what you were buying.
Like government protected warehouses.
Yeah, so 4 years old, 100 proof. It was bottled, not in a barrel. It was bottled. And it was the product of one distilling season at one distillery. So there was no mixing, no blending, no adding in any tobacco spits or turpentine or any additives or anything like that. And it had to be clearly labeled, and it had to be aged in a bonded warehouse. So the bonded warehouse part means that it was guarded by someone. People weren't coming in at night taking stuff,
thieving and
whatever. Yeah. So, and it had to come from these distilled spirits plants, which is what DSP stands for. So when you see DSP-1, DSP-2, DSP 100, 500, whatever, that's what that stands for. Distilled spirits plant. And the number is like which one in the city, like DSP-1 would be the first one ever in that state. So, Kentucky DSP-1 would be the first one ever in all of Kentucky. So that's a big, badge of honor for a lot of these places. So let's go ahead and nose this. This is the Evan Williams Bottled and Bond.
That's a good white nose. Label.
No, I remember liking it when we had it.
Yeah.
So what do you get on the nose? I get a little caramel, actually.
It's reminiscent of like the Elijah Craig that we did earlier.
I get some vanilla. But I get caramel more than the brown sugar this time.
Yeah, it's all sweet.
It is
caramel. Yeah,
I don't smell any age.
I don't either.
But
I do maybe get a touch of corn.
Well, that would be
normal, right? Because
based off that would be similar to what I'm saying. Not much age. Corn.
Once I kind of like,
I almost feel like there's maybe some citrus or something in there. It might just be a little bit of a sting in the nose. On the palate, I get a little bit. The first thing that popped out at me, and then it changes a little bit, but the first thing that popped out at me was on the back of the tongue was like a black pepper.
Yeah, there is something peppery.
I get that on the back of the tongue, but then after that, it was almost like the front of the tongue, it was like a delayed reaction, a little satellite delay, if you will. And I get a little bit of vanilla, and maybe some more citrusy. It's almost like a tangy feeling on the tongue that makes me think citrus. That's why, like lemon or something or orange or something.
I know what you mean by tangy. I wouldn't have said citrus, but the word tangy.
Yeah,
that kind of resonates.
Citrus
with
might
me.
not be right, but that's kind of what it made me think of. Was that tanginess made me think of citrus. The finish is pretty good, though. I will say that it's not. It doesn't die off like that Evan Williams 1783. Yeah, the finish is pretty good.
For a $20 bottle or whatever this is,
a budget.
A budget, yeah. This is a good bottle.
You're getting 100 proof, and you're getting it for a cheap price. I need to visit this more often. This is actually, I find myself not ever really visiting my cheap stuff.
Well, you need to spend a week and say, I'm only going to drink bottom shelf things, or I'm only going to drink lower. And I hate to say
that's not a bad idea.
I hate to call this. I mean, literally your shelves,
right?
Not that it's a bottom shelf.
Those fucking quitters out there, they do Sober October. A bunch of fucking quitters. I think we should do bottom shelf something.
Yeah.
What is there a month?
There's no month that starts with B. No.
Well, you could really overpronounce the B in February.
Yeah. Bottom shelf February. I don't know.
Maybe we'll do that in February. We'll do like a 4-week, stretch of bottom shelfers.
Yeah. Of things that are, less than $30 or less than $25.
Yeah, but like just even bottom shelfers, like Benchmark, this Evan Williams. Honestly, there's a lot of stuff to choose from. I mean, the regular
absolutely.
Evan Williams as well. The black label Evan Williams. I don't even own one of those. Not bad. I can handle that. I can get down with some of that action. So, all right. I think the next one we were talking about doing. What do we have in the other one?
Heaven and Hill Bottom and Bond, which this is
the Heaven Hill Bottom and Bond. Okay.
This is like harder to find, I believe. It's like a Kentucky exclusive. Is that correct?
It's not a Kentucky exclusive, but it's not in Ohio. I will say that. This one originally, it's 7 years now. It used to be 6 years. They made a change a while back, and I think some people still have some 6-year Heaven Hill Bottled and Bonds. And a lot of people say that the 6-year Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond is better than the 7-year.
Okay.
But I don't know that that's true.
Yours is a 7-year.
It is. I've never had a 6-year, ever. So this is 7 years old. It's 100 proof. It's bottled and bond. This pays tribute to the earliest days of the distillery's history when in 1939 it released Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond. The namesake brand quickly became the #1 selling bourbon whiskey in the state of Kentucky. Still today, the craftsmanship poured into this bottle by the same founding family meets the exacting standards first set forth in the Bottle and Bond Act of 1897. So we talked about Bottle and Bond. I mentioned, same distillery, same distilling season, at least 4 years, 100 proof. And then it's got the DSP listed in there, and it's got to be protected in a bond.
31.
warehouse.
That's pretty. 31's
pretty early.
Pretty early. Yeah, I agree.
Pretty early. All right, let's dive into this. I think yours is a little deeper than mine.
That's what she said.
I don't know what that means. Ooh, this might be one of my favorite.
Oh, this smells so good
so far on the nose. Holy shit!
This is like
I get honey,
toffee, honey,
and vanilla. Ooh, caramel. Fuck yeah!
This is probably
this
the
is
best
our best nose so far.
Absolutely,
easily.
Very like robust. Like it's
there's a lot happening in the nose. A lot of the other ones on the nose were just very basic and fell flat. This one really, really jumps out. Nice.
This just smells thick.
It does. It smells good. I've got a backup bottle of that I found in Chicago.
Oh, nice.
And so I might have to kill that because that's actually bordering on anchor territory now.
It is. I agree. This is good too. Well, it smells good anyway.
Fuck. I'm going to have to drink it. If I continue on tonight, that might be what I have to drink. Oh, some nuttiness. Caramel.
Yeah.
Ooh, the rye at the end. A little bit of rye on the finish.
I wish it had a little more viscosity.
A little bit of oak. Well, yeah.
I wish it did. It's not bad. I get some oak tobacco. Tobacco's coming through for me.
I didn't have much of a second drink, but I got a little bit of honey. So that that nose came through with a little bit on the tongue to the honey.
Yep.
This is probably the smallest pour we did all night, and I'm a little disappointed that it was the smallest pour. This was pretty good.
Sweet honey, or not sweet honey, obviously honey sweet. Sweet tobacco again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something else we had was sweet tobacco, and I'm drawing a blank right now. Oh, the Five Brothers.
Yeah, they had the tobacco too. Let's go to Henry McKenna next.
I'm cool with that.
I think I want to see how this compares to some Henry McKenna.
Yeah, so we're going to go from 7 years to 10 years.
Yeah. All right, let's see. I think I've got
I've been rinsing as I go, I think.
Yeah, but I think I've got one that hasn't been touched yet. I want that one.
I think I have a virgin glass over here somewhere.
Yeah, that's what I think too. I need to pour some water into all of these just to be safe. I don't even know.
So I just got back from Gatlinburg.
Yeah.
And there are lots of craft distilleries down there.
Like beer?
Well, spirits.
Like what?
Like whiskeys.
Any names of any that you remember?
One of them was called King. And I go and like, no, I'm just being inquisitive, right? Just like looking around. All the bottles were MG, like it's all MGP stuff.
Okay.
Some of it was okay. Pretty high on the price for some of the stuff. Like
Craft distilleries, I think you just have to get it in your head that that's what you're going to do. You're going to pay a little extra.
And then
they're not producing like other places.
Yeah.
At a rate where they've gotten all their equipment and everything set up from the pre-prohibition time. They're probably taking their loans out in the last 10 years, so they're still paying shit back.
Right.
I think that's pretty common for craft distilleries. I think you're going to see that.
They made their own, like vodkas and gins and everything that comes right off the still.
Yeah, I think a lot of places do that to start with.
I agree.
So they made their own for those. Are they aging stuff to become their own bourbons?
As of now, no. Everything was MGP. Okay. Everything was, right.
But did you talk to them or find out or anything like that? Like a bourbon hunter might inquire about?
Well,
so that
I did.
Talk about it on the podcast.
They didn't know a lot, to be honest. All she would basically, I was impressed. The lady knew the mash bill.
Yeah.
They had a rye that was the typical MGP 95.5.
95.5, yeah.
There was some kind of toasted rye. Now I think they were doing that, and they had a couple things.
So they got the rye, then they would toast it there,
right? And they had like a honey barrel where they.
I'm really becoming a fan of honey barrel stuff.
I liked the honey barrel. I didn't like it for the price point.
Yeah,
they did free samples, which was cool. I thought that was really cool. They did free samples, and I mean they're tiny, but they had a 15-year whiskey.
Free samples, tiny or not?
Yeah, it was
Who
cool.
Who gives a shit?
Right, because then again, you get to try before you purchase, so it wasn't.
Try before you buy.
Yeah. Nothing was like, oh my God, jump out. But it also wasn't like drinking rot gut whiskey either.
Yeah.
So that was a little fun. And then I went to another place and it was god awful. I won't even say the name on here. But it was like the lady was like, this is our 3-year bourbon whiskey. And I was like,
I will say.
It was rough.
I will say that's how we felt when we went to Jep the Creed.
Really?
Their vodka was outstanding. Their bourbon was shit. They used blood corn or something like that, and it just didn't lend to bourbon.
Yeah, it sounds cool, right?
And here's the thing: I'm sure there are people that don't like bourbon that taste that bourbon and probably are like, "Oh, this is great." It just was not my thing. I did not like it, but their vodka, outstanding. They had a blueberry vodka. They had some good vodka. That's a place I would stop by just to buy some of their flavored vodkas.
Well, this place was doing a lot of, this is our cinnamon whiskey, and this is our, like, pickle whiskey.
I mean, that's a thing. People right now, you've got Fireball, you've got, peanut butter whiskey, you've got all those things right now.
Peanut butter whiskey.
People are doing that to make some, and here's the thing that those things can do. Have you been on any of the peanut butter whiskey websites to see the drinks, the mixed drinks that they have?
That's a good point. You can do some cool mixed drinks with them.
There are websites dedicated to like Screwball, for example, of what mixed drinks you can make to drink that kind of stuff. It's pretty impressive. Screwball you can drink almost by itself if you like peanut butter.
I've never had Screwball.
I've got some if you want to try it out. It's okay.
Yeah, I might get it another night.
If you like peanut butter, it's actually pretty. It's a pretty neat little flavor.
I like peanut butter. I do. I just don't know how I feel about peanut butter whiskey, but I'll give it a try sometime. I will.
What I want to do one time is do a bourbon cream mix with peanut butter whiskey or something, just to see what happens.
Yeah.
But there's a ton of them. There's a ton of recipes out there for what you can do with peanut butter whiskey. It's crazy.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
So this is Henry McKenna, right?
Always good in my opinion.
Well, I mean, here's the thing about Henry McKenna. The knock on Henry McKenna is it's not consistent. It is a single barrel. It's 10 years old, and it is also bottled in bond. So
I agree, but I haven't had one that I hated.
No, I've never had one that I hated, but I've had some that I've been disappointed in based off of the last one I had.
Yeah.
This bottle here that I have open right now is pretty good.
I know there was a guy at work that was like, he wasn't giving it away, but he was like, does anybody want to buy this? I don't like it. I just had one pour out of it. I don't want it. And I was like, yeah, I'll take it.
And it wasn't. Yeah. Did you like it?
I liked it.
So Henry McKenna, it's the Irish immigrant who adapted his family's whiskey recipe to work with the grains found in Kentucky. Henry McKenna is one of the longest aged bottled and bond whiskeys available today, resting in the barrel through 40 Kentucky seasons.
Dang.
So that's 4 seasons a year.
10 years.
Yeah.
When you think of it, though, in that, like,
Right.
40
That's
seasons.
interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, there is a regular Henry McKenna bourbon you can buy.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I don't know if it's still available, but I'd seen it in the past. That's not bottled and bond. It's just regular. It's like a bottom shelfer, basically.
Okay.
I don't know. And it's not listed on their website anymore, so they may not have it anymore. That part I don't know. That's not a real person, Banks. That's a skeleton.
He was like, do you want to pet me?
He's like, can you rub that skeleton on my head? You sniffing on the bourbons, buddy?
Banks, you have to drive. You can't drink right now.
I'm just, like you said, he's now back there where he could potentially step on the power cable.
Right.
All right. If we go dark, it's because of Banks. What do you get on the nose?
The nose isn't... I don't know. That bottled and bond Heaven Hill had the best nose that we've had.
It did so far. I agree.
I don't get a lot on this nose. Do
No,
you?
I get the alcohols coming through.
I'm not getting an ethanol like...
I'm getting a little vanilla, maybe.
I could see that.
Maybe. I get honey on the tongue, and I get nut,
Oh, yeah. Lots of peanut on this.
and I get a little bit of spiciness on the finish.
It coats my tongue well. The viscosity is there.
The 10 years, I think, really shows on the viscosity, for sure.
A little oak in there. Not as much oak as some of the other stuff for this being so far the oldest one we've had.
But the finish to me almost seems sweet, which doesn't normally happen to me with finishes.
It's a sweet oak again.
But finishes usually are spicy to me.
Yeah.
This is almost like a sweet, spicy finish. Interesting.
I don't know why I like Henry McKenna so much. But
No,
I do.
I mean I do too. I don't. To be fair, there's not a lot of bourbons I dislike.
Agree.
I mean, there are some malt whiskeys.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a rough day.
That was a rough day, and having to keep a straight face while we were talking about it.
Dude, one of those days you got to blind that for Tyler. Just
No, he had it, and he said it tasted like diaper dirt. Remember?
But it's just we need to say like, oh hey, we're all having. I poured our primer. We're all having,
and just give it to him, and that's it.
And be like, this is really good. Like, what are you talking about? And then say like, I mean, this is.
We should do that.
And you got to do. I mean, he's not going to
that.
listen to this episode.
Well, we thought that when we did the Tyler
That's true.
episode, and then he freaking destroyed his knee and listened to it on the way home.
But you can't make it super obvious and be like, this is Elmer T. Lee. What do you mean? You have to say like, this is
something like he probably hasn't had, but maybe once or twice.
Right.
Interesting. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea.
When you got to make sure that you know what I mean, like the colors are close, right? Because
I
don't remember how dark that one was.
I thought it was decently dark.
I agree.
To be honest,
something with some age on it.
Yeah. So I will say that I do like this Henry McKenna. It's good.
Agree. Are we still in line?
I think
we're still in line.
Banks
He
tried to take us offline.
He's like, I've had enough of your shit.
To be fair, it was my fault. I threw a bottle over there, and as soon as you throw a bottle on the floor, he goes and gets it. He knows his job is to get the cap off the bottle. As soon as he gets the cap off the bottle, he stops. He's done.
That's funny.
He leaves it alone. He doesn't do anything with the bottle after the cap's off. It is the most interesting thing. Like
it's his mission.
He loves when you throw a bottle on the ground, like a little water bottle. He loves it. He goes right to it, takes it, sits down with it, gets the cap off in like 10 seconds, and then he's done with it.
Like I'm out.
Yeah, it's so interesting. So I say we've done everything.
We've done
on
a
this
lot.
Table,
We've done a lot,
except for the Evan Williams 12 and the Heaven Hill 6. We've done everything else. So why stop now? I mean, honestly.
Do you want to finish on the Heaven Hill 6?
I say we finish on the Evan Williams 12.
Okay, I'm cool with that.
I mean, the Evan Williams 12 is the 12-year, so let's go back to the 6-year.
Okay.
And let's pour the green label. This is the green label Kentucky only.
We partially killed one of these, or did kill
We did a
one.
third of it. We did a third of it while we were in
Bardstown?
our very first Bardstown bourbon bottle kill.
Mm-hmm. Because I think at first, did we start with this, or where did we start?
No, we started with very fine rare.
Okay.
Then we what was it?
Do you want to take that?
No,
we
started with
water out
we,
of there.
we started
so
with the stag.
That's what it was. We started with the stag.
And then
Did we kill the stag?
We killed the stag junior.
That's right.
Then we went to this, and then we decided to open up the very fine rare that we had just gotten that day.
Because I was like, "Don't do it."
So that was where
you were like, "Let's just try it." You said, "Let's do a pour and let's try it."
That's where we decided. That's where the actual tradition came. Now that we're going to start killing a bottle that we got that day, a high end bottle that we got that day, and it's more of just a fuck you to people who collect and flip.
Yeah.
We're buying an expensive bottle that day, killing it.
I gave you more than me. Sorry.
That's all right. I live here.
I have to drive.
We, like last year, we did the Master's Keep 1.
I'm jealous that I wasn't there for that kill.
That kill was so fun.
Oh, I bet.
If you had been there, Tyler wouldn't have gotten as drunk as he did, and that would not have been as fun. We would have had to have probably killed 2 bottles if you'd come.
I mean, this year it's going to have to be a 2. If
Oh,
there's
yeah, for
that
sure.
many
Tyler's
people,
trying to say, oh, we're only killing 1 bottle. I'm like, there's 7 of us.
7 people, it'll have to be a 2 bottle
Yeah,
kill.
we've got to do at least 2. It's probably going to be more like a 3.
Yeah, and I don't even know what it's going to be.
We're going to order
know.
in pizza.
I'm cool with that.
And then we're going to kill 2 bottles, maybe a third. That's the mistake we made last year. Is we'll go to a nice dinner on Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
Friday night we're killing a bottle and we're getting drunk.
Yeah.
And we'll go to a nice dinner on Saturday.
Yeah, because when you have that many people, it's going to be a lot of time when you go out to dinner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a long thing to get everyone's order and everyone's drinks, and it's just always a long.
Yeah,
it's never quick.
Yeah.
That's why I hate. So
we're finishing the first day in Louisville.
Okay.
Well, that's where our Airbnb is. So
Yeah.
we'll be there for 2 nights. And I think the first night we kill a bottle, we order some pizza, just settle in, because it'll have been a very long day.
Yes, agree.
We're going to be up at 5 a.m., and so I think by the end of the night, we're going to be tired as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
So we do that. We kill the bottle on Friday night. Saturday,
Sure,
we just go to a nice little dinner, and that's the way I see it.
Yeah.
Which one is this?
This is the
Green Label.
The Green Label, 6-year. This is the Kentucky exclusive.
Yeah, and it's super cheap. I think we got it for like $18 a bottle.
Yeah, it's less than 20.
But it's good for being and it's 6 years old.
There's not much on the
old.
nose though for me.
Did
you get much?
Yeah, I get a little bit. I get a little bit of vanilla.
I might be in sensory overload.
I mean, we're on our 8th bottle.
God, don't remind me.
No, we're on our 9th bottle.
Jesus.
There's 10 bottles out here. Yeah.
Yeah, there's 10.
And we've had all of them but 1, right? This will be
everything with the 12-year.
Yeah. Shit, we've plowed through some shit tonight.
Yeah, small pours to our listeners.
We are doing small pours.
We're not pickling our livers. Well, I mean, long term we are, but not short term.
I mean, to be fair, these 10 pours are probably not even as equivalent as if we did 3 pours with barrel proof.
For real, some of the barrel proofs we do,
and we've done
ridiculous.
bigger pours when we do that. Yeah, these are small pours. Don't get me wrong. It's like 2 sips, basically.
Yeah. Man, I don't get much on the nose.
We probably should have done this earlier, just because it's a very, very, very cheap version. There's no finish whatsoever on this. Do you get a finish?
No, it's very.
This is, I mean, honestly,
very flat.
This is probably the worst thing we've had so far.
Probably, yeah. I hate to say it,
but I could easily drink this.
Yeah, and for the price point,
and it's not bad. It's just not very flavorful. There's nothing bad about it. It's just not flavorful, and it doesn't have a finish, and
it's flat. Is all I can think of.
It's almost like if you went to a Coke that you had a couple hours ago and you left it out, and you come back to it, and it's just like,
I agree. It's just a flat.
I mean, it's not bad for $18, $19. I mean, I could drink this.
Yeah.
And if I went to a place that had this, I'd probably, and this is all they had bourbon wise. I mean, I'm not going to be happy about it, but I'd drink it.
This could be a good mixer too. This could be good in like an old fashioned or
I don't know. It doesn't have much.
I don't know
punch to make itself known in an old fashioned, but I could easily see it being something someone could drink who's never had much bourbon before. And because there's nothing offensive about it.
90 proof, charcoal filtered.
You know what I mean, though? There's nothing offensive about it. It's very easy on the tongue.
I agree. Yeah, there's nothing offensive about it. Consistency, good to the last drop. What is this, Folgers?
It is. The best part of waking up is Heaven Hill.
Heaven Hill in your cup.
All right. So let's, what's funny is that a screw top that you had?
This is a screw top, yes.
Well, so is the one we're having, a 12-year.
Which is hilarious.
Is this okay?
Yeah, I just rinsed it.
Okay.
So we're going from a 6-year to a 12-year that are both screw tops.
So, well, I mean, isn't the Weller 12 a screw top?
I haven't gotten mine yet. Oh, no, yeah. I need to message my sister.
And we need to bring that on the show.
Absolutely.
We'll do a whole.
I want to do the Weller
episode.
row. Yeah.
That's the only thing we're missing, right? Well, minus the CY. Well, we could have Ron bring the CYPD PB.
I thought about if we blinded them. Do you think?
That'd be fun.
I think it would be fun.
Yeah.
But you almost have to start with the SR. Even though we're going to blind them.
Of course you do.
It's like blind them, but we know that we're starting with the
maybe.
SR.
Maybe not. I don't know.
We'll
see. All right. So we've got the Evan Williams 12-year. This, from what I understand, is a Kentucky exclusive as well. This might even be exclusive to the Evan Williams experience in Louisville.
It might be.
They have a 23-year. They have a 12-year. This is 101 proof. This is the red label. It's a screw top, which is interesting. And do you remember what I paid for this? Was it $100? $150?
I think it was $150.
It might have been more. It might have been up there.
It was more than I expected it to be.
It was. But it's also a 12-year. So
right.
The leading thought on price per year is $10 a year.
So that'd be $120.
Yeah. So, but it's a screw top.
I know, which is great.
Right?
I saw, so speaking of that, like you said, the Weller 12, I was looking, a coworker sent me a photo. Anytime they go to DC, because they have family in DC, they're always like sending me all these pictures like bourbon on the shelves, blah, blah, blah. And I can send you the picture. But anyway, I always like to look at the markups on everything.
Oh, yeah, I do too.
That's my big thing is I like to look at that.
100%.
And I'm like Elmer T. Lee for $400. Like, what the fuck?
Right. That's just crazy.
But the Weller 12-year was the highest priced. It was $100 more than the full proof.
The which one was?
The 12-year Weller.
Yeah, and that's like the worst of all of them, supposedly.
It was $400.
Not that it's bad, just for the price point. If you can get it for MSRP, like Jason, for example, he says MSRP.
It's a great deal.
It's a great bourbon for MSRP.
But it was $3.99 for the Weller 12, and the Weller full proof was like $2.99.
Yeah.
So it was a $100 difference between the two, and I'm like, that is insane.
It is insane. So this is Evan Williams 12-year, 101 proof. It's 12 years old. Mash bill on this one, 78% corn, 12% malted barley, 10% rye. So the secondary is barley on this one, not rye. So makes me think it's going to be a little bit easier drinker. And with me, malted barley, when it's a little bit higher like that, you start to get a little bit of a chocolate note to it. So let's see what we get here. Let's nose this
I
thing.
always get chocolate from malted barley.
Yeah, but it's not super high malted barley. It's just, it's the secondary.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is pleasant on the nose.
I get a little bit of vanilla, caramel, and maybe on the back of the nose, if that's a thing, a little bit of oak. What's the schnoz getting?
I would call that a lingering thing, but there's oak.
Oh.
Vanilla oak?
Graham cracker, maybe?
Oh, man, I wish.
I'm serious. I think I might be getting some graham cracker on this.
There's something bread. Whether it's a graham cracker, bread, toast, it's hard for me to decipher.
Yeah. That might be where I was. I'm getting them caramel for sure. Depending on which nostril I use, the caramel really punches on one and not on the other.
King's Hawaiian roll. That's oddly specific.
No, I could see that. I'm getting a lot of sweetness, which I get from.
I do love some King's Hawaiian rolls.
God, that's every slider type thing
that's
I make.
What I make
that's what I use.
Yeah,
yeah, for sure.
with my potato soup. I had a couple of those left over, so I cut it in half, did some bread and butter, and like put it in there.
You can't go
Fucking
wrong.
great, man.
Ooh.
And you've had this open for a few, so it's had some time to oxidize.
I remember the first time I had this, I was like a little disappointed, but this is actually not too bad. This is fairly complex.
This has the best viscosity or the best like lasting
mouthfeel,
mouthfeel.
yeah.
It doesn't finish quick.
This surprised me. I did not expect much out of this because I remember having it and thinking, but I'm getting a lot of stuff. Cinnamon?
There's a caramel.
You getting any cinnamon? Just a slight. It's not overpowering.
I don't, but there's like a caramel chew.
I get the caramel. That was in the nose. I get that. I
But
get
like
some
on the
vanilla.
palate, you know when those square little caramel chews that you would like eat.
The ones now that you're older, you keep in your pocket.
Yeah, absolutely. I get one of those like in the back of my tongue. There's like a little wrapper that was like a bitch to open.
I get like a weird vanilla cinnamon combo.
I don't get the cinnamon, and I'm not unhappy about that.
No, it's not the cinnamon you don't like. It's not like a Big Red. It's a
Okay.
This is a real. No, it's really punching me. I'm getting some serious cinnamon on this. You know what? I don't even know. I think the best way to describe this to me.
I mean,
I'm getting vanilla. I'm getting caramel. I'm getting cinnamon. I'm getting.
this has the longest finish of anything
It
we've
does,
had by
yeah.
far.
But I think what's interesting to me is how well all the flavors are melding together in a way that it's all pleasant. Harmony.
Very complex.
Harmony.
Ooh, harmony. Melodies and harmonies.
She gave me a lap dance this last weekend. She's really good at what she does. Harmony.
Tipped her well?
Harmony, yeah. Oh,
I thought melody. I
no,
thought it was melody.
No, harmony.
Okay.
Melody's okay, but harmony's better. But yeah, no, I gave her just a tip. It was fine. This is good. I am pleasantly surprised. I don't know what my palate must have been in a different place when I had this last time. And I think, you know what? When we did our Old Forester barrel pick that we did a few months ago.
Oh, that was fun. That was a good time.
It was. But when we did that, I think, because I got this that day, I think I came back that night and had opened this up. Mm-hmm. I think. And I wonder if I was on like but I don't know how I'm not on a sensory overload right now. This is our 10th drink.
Yeah, so we've had so many different flavors, so many different.
They're all at least in the same
distillery.
Yeah.
This is so obviously. I think this is like easily our favorite between the two of us. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think the Larceny was up there.
I was going to ask you what's
the Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond and this one are probably my three favorites. The McKenna was very close behind. But yeah,
I was going to ask you your next favorite behind that.
So,
for me, that Larceny's jumping out.
We did the Five Brothers actually did a lot better tonight than I've had in the past. Makes me want to revisit it again.
The Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond jumped out to me as well.
That was really, really good. Those are probably my top four tonight.
Agree.
And some of them were more surprising, I think, when my expectations were down. Like the Five Brothers, my expectations on that one was really low.
It surprised you?
And it surprised me, yeah. So like maybe it's not as good as I think it is, but it's just because I expected nothing.
I like when that happens versus the other way around.
Yeah,
when
for
you're let
sure.
down.
Oh, of course, yeah. It's almost like when you're thinking you're about to have Sprite and you drink water.
That's the worst.
Yeah, it's the worst.
It's the worst.
You think you're about to get some, carbonation
Yeah.
and then
water.
nothing.
And you're like,
and it's
what?
like, what the fuck? Is this some flat? Oh,
Yeah.
oh, no, this is water. Yeah, that's the worst. You're 100% right.
You get ginger ale when you fly. Every time I fly when I'm on a plane, I always get ginger ale.
I do. And you know who makes fun of me for that?
Trina?
Fucking Tyler.
Why?
He makes fun of ginger ale drinkers.
Oh, no, man. You always get the
and
ginger
you know
ale.
what's funny about that?
Settles your belly and like...
No, he loves the show Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah.
If you ever watch Everybody Loves Raymond, if he's ever drinking anything...
Is it ginger ale?
It's ginger ale.
That's funny.
So he's always got the little squat bottles of ginger ale,
Yeah.
and he's always drinking it in the show. If he's
that's
drinking
funny.
anything in the show, it's fucking ginger ale.
He does. That's like, he says that's like watching his life.
It is, and that's the funny thing about it. Speaking of the guy who's never on our episodes, he just landed in Chicago. He said, my airplane was like a damn kite landing in Chicago.
Oh, God. I hate that feeling. I get so
Well,
nauseous.
they call it the Windy City for a reason.
Which is why I drink
On-
ginger ale on a plane.
Yeah, I love ginger ale.
Yeah.
That's how I started drinking bourbon, was with ginger ale. It's a great combo. Ginger ale and bourbon
Yeah,
is a
agree.
great
Agree.
combination. If you're not, wanting a full ass bourbon,
Yeah. Half-ass bourbon, ginger ale.
yeah, if you want to half-ass your bourbon, ginger ale is the way to half-ass it. Yeah, the 7 Williams 12 is good.
It is. I agree. Pleasantly
Damn.
surprised. Which I know we've had it before, but it.
Have we?
Yeah, we had it one other time
You've had it?
here.
We
had
must
it.
have done it as a primer before.
I know we had it on the show once.
I don't think so.
I feel like we did.
I think you're wrong.
I don't know, but I'm almost positive I had it. We may have done something that was.
You may have had it, because what's missing out of it is more than just me having a drink
Yeah.
of it. I don't think we've had it on the show, though.
It's better than I remember. I'll say that.
I 100% agree. That's what I mean. Like, my memory of it was not as pleasant as it is right now. This is good, and it's a little more complex than I remember. There's a lot going on. I had vanilla, I had cinnamon, I had there's a little bit of oak. It has a good finish, some spice to it. Yeah, I mean it's. I don't remember it being this good.
It's the clear winner in this.
I think so too. Damn, we've been through 10 bourbons tonight.
I know. I got to chug some water.
So I'd say Evan Williams 12 is my number one.
Same.
Number two is going to be, it would be tough for me. I would say it's between the Heaven Hill and the Larceny. The Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond.
Agree. I would have had to like look at some notes. I should have taken notes.
Yeah, I should have as well, but I wasn't thinking about it like that tonight.
Right.
The 6-year Heaven Hill Green Label was probably my least favorite tonight.
Yeah, it was really flat.
But it was it for the price point and the value, I'm going to say that it's not bad. I could drink it. There was nothing bad about it it's not like, because I've had bourbons where I've drank it, and when I drink it, it's like, ugh, what am I drinking?
Right.
It wasn't like that. It was pleasant. It was smooth. It was easy. It just wasn't complex. It wasn't memorable. Mm-hmm. I think that's probably my favorite, or my best way to describe it is it wasn't memorable.
Yeah, that's a good descriptor. I agree.
Damn. 10 bourbons.
The 1783 was kind of a little let down too. It was a little bit of a lighter, flatter,
Yeah, but it was sweet. There was some sweetness there.
Yeah.
And that's fine with me. So like, here's, for me, I don't know how you feel. If it doesn't have a long, nice, strong finish, it needs to be sweet on the palate.
Yeah.
That's where Heaven Hill didn't have anything. It didn't have a long finish, the 6-year, the green label. It didn't have a long finish. It didn't have a sweet palate. It was just, like you said, it was flat. Mm-hmm. It was just straight across the board, nothing, and then it just died. I don't know. But I will say my surprises for the night, this Evan Williams 12-year, because I had it before.
Yeah.
The Evan Williams Bottled and Bond. The Five Brothers was a big surprise for me tonight because it was much better than I remembered.
The Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond really surprised me. The nose, that had the best nose.
I remember it being good, so that doesn't surprise me so much.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't had it in a long time.
Yeah.
So that did jump out to me as well. I agree. But surprise, I've always remembered Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond being good. Mm-hmm. But you're right. It did jump out to me tonight. But surprise-wise, Evan Williams Bottled and Bond and Five Brothers were my biggest surprises. Evan Williams 12-year, I was surprised by that because I've only had it once before, and I was unimpressed. But tonight I was actually pretty happy with it.
I'm very happy with this.
Yeah. Damn. 10 bourbons in an hour and 20 minutes.
Dear Lord.
I mean, what do we name this episode?
Oh, shit.
I don't think shit's a good way to.
No.
I don't think we're going to get many people.
The Heaven Hill Tasting extravaganza. I can't talk. Extravaganza. I can't talk.
Extravaganza.
Extravaganza.
You're forgetting the G.
You're correct.
Forgetting the G.
I am. No, I don't know. The
Heaven Hill. Yeah, I mean, something like that.
Yeah, something.
Or 12 bourbons in an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, that too.
Or 10 bourbons. Sorry, 10 bourbons in an hour and 20 minutes.
Jesus. Cheese and rice.
Cheese and rice. This is almost as impressive as the Bardstown Bourbon Bottle Kill.
Yeah.
I mean, 10 fucking bourbons.
Don't remind me. I got to work tomorrow.
10 bourbons. I'll text you tomorrow morning first thing. 10 bourbons.
Right. I'll be like, what?
Hey, so thanks for joining in for us this week. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. We enjoyed it.
I enjoyed this a lot.
I did too. I mean, there was a lot of information, but it was a lot of like tasting, trying a whole bunch of things together. I mean, you're going to see the picture of this on the grams and the books. Mm-hmm. I am Dude Pool on Instagram. We've got Brett Paul Bryan on Instagram. We've got People Schnoz, which he does nothing for. He needs to fucking do it.
Maybe on the trip.
Soon.
Maybe on the trip, I like revive the People Schnoz and be like, he's back, and I
start posting pictures. You know what you need to do is just one day
nonstop.
Take like 20 pictures of your nose in different bottles in Glencairns, and then
just post,
but not post them all at the same time.
Right.
Spread it out over the next month or so. Try to revive
on
it.
the trip. I'm really going to revive the People Schnoz, and like everywhere we go, like post things, and take lots of pictures.
Your schnoz is too fucking beautiful not to fucking revive it.
Yeah,
it's got to be a thing. The People Schnoz is
it's going to make a comeback.
It is, and it's a great fucking handle.
2023 is the year of the schnoz.
The year of the schnoz. Yes. We'll make shirts. The year of the schnoz. Oh, shirts coming. All right, guys. So we've got that. We've got, if you're interested in the guy that never shows up, it's Ty Schaefer 04. We are the Bourbon Hunters on Instagram. If you haven't found us before, then find us now. Follow us. bourbonhunters.com, just bourbonhunters.com. We have a store. We have tons of shirts, all the shirts we talk about. I'm
wearing a great hoodie right now that I love.
And I know a guy that makes shirts and hoodies if you're interested. And here's the thing. If you go on our website and you see something, or maybe you thought of a great idea for a bourbon shirt and you can't find it anywhere, let me know. I can make one-offs.
Yeah.
I have a printing machine.
This is comfortable and stylish.
It's cool.
It's the best of both worlds. I mean, I really like this hoodie.
No, that's a good one. I'm going to have to buy that exact.
I should like model this, and you can like.
No, it's fucking good.
It is.
I like that one. The oatmeal color is actually.
Yeah, the black and oatmeal go together so well.
It does,
and it's comfortable too.
Yeah,
it matches my watch. Look at that.
Yeah, look at that. Everyone who's on the podcast, look at that.
Yeah, look at that.
Check us out. Give us some reviews. 5-star only. We do not accept anything below a 5-star review.
5.5, but
well, you can do 5.5 if you can figure it out. Banks is also sitting here with us tonight. He's come very close to. He's flirted with turning off the power tonight.
He deserves a 5-star review too.
I think we should start an Instagram just for Banks.
We should.
The old man. He was such a good man. Thanks for joining in, guys. Catch you next week.
Thank you for joining in for yet another episode of the Bourbon Hunters. If you like what you hear, please leave us a good rating on Apple, Podbean, Google, or wherever you are listening. It definitely helps us to get great guests on our show. And follow us on Instagram and the Facebooks to keep up to date with what is in our glass. As always, sit back, grab a pour, kick up your feet, and enjoy some bourbon.